This war in Ukraine and Russia just seems to not be stopping. And Ukraine is now crying out that they need more US war money. They need more money. They need more weapons. They need more tanks. And they need more bombs. Luckily, the stuff they got right now is working. It's holding them off. It's holding off the Russian troops. They're definitely killing a lot of Russians out there. But they're running out. They're running out of money and they're running out of time. Let's tune in.
CNN's Fred Pleitkin shows us now the costly lengths to which Russia is willing to go to destroy Ukraine. We must warn you, some of the images we're about to show you are disturbing.
It's a sight Ukrainian troops in Avdiivka see all too often, a massive Russian armored assault force coming right at them. The Russian infantry moves with virtually no cover. The Ukrainians call these meat assaults because the Russian troops have virtually no chance of survival as Ukrainian drones hunt them down. They assault with a large number of personnel, the head of the drone unit that filmed the videos tells me. Assault after assault, non-stop. If we kill 40 to 70 of them with drones in a day, the next day they renew their forces and continue to attack. It's been going on for several months as Russian President Vladimir Putin seems hell-bent on taking Avdiivka. Russian vehicles under artillery fire as they get close to Ukrainian positions. The ground littered with dead and dying Russian soldiers trying to overwhelm the Ukrainian defenses here.
Look at all those dead bodies on the floor. Look at all them dead bodies on the floor. This is sad, people. This is sad. And I know it's something that we've been going through since the world has started. People fighting over territory, people fighting over land, people fighting over money. But this is just a sad situation to know that maybe this guy right here in the middle, he probably had a family at home. He probably had a wife, he probably had a kid, maybe two, and a dog. And he can no longer hug them, say good morning to them. He can no longer give them kisses or take them to school. All because of what? War. This is sad, but let's continue.
The ground littered with dead and dying Russian soldiers trying to overwhelm the Ukrainian defenses here. The Ukrainians say they're holding back most of the assaults, but are outgunned and outmanned. We need more people, more military, more equipment. We need more ammunition, more drones, he says. Unfortunately, we don't have the amount needed to win. We need a lot. And the Russians, not facing the same shortages, are dropping massive amounts of ordnance on the Ukrainians. Everything from artillery to heavy guided aerial bombs. One of the key defense points, a massive coke plant at the edge of town. And that's where these guys are setting up their defenses. Under constant fire, elite snipers from Ukraine's Omega Special Forces. Here, they have the cover to hit advancing Russian soldiers. Their anger visible in the hoodies they wear for our interview. With the weapons we have, at distances up to 1,300 meters, the effectiveness of our work is 90%, he says. For that kind of precision, they need to keep their weapons in pristine condition all the time, they say. At the beginning, it seemed the Russians could encircle Avdiivka very quickly, he says, but as we see, Avdiivka has been ours for 3 months, and we're holding on.
I feel like they're lying to you. They're lying to us. They're lying to the people. And obviously, any way they put it, they can put it. Yeah, they're taking out Russians, but it's clearly Russia is way more powerful. And it's only a matter of time before they run out of all these military equipments. And until Russia takes over again. I believe this is land that Russia already had at one point. They walked through, they had it evacuated, and then Ukraine came, fought, took it back, and now Russia is coming back again with more and more and more bombs. This is, again, this is a sad situation, but let's continue.
Holding Avdiivka for now, even as assault after assault eats away at Ukrainian defenses. And Jake, the commander of that drone unit, also told us he believes that his unit alone has destroyed between 40 and 50 pieces of Russian armor, so tanks and armored vehicles, and killed anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 Russians, and yet they keep coming and threaten to overwhelm those defenses there in Avdiivka, also, of course, because of dwindling.
1,500 Russians are dead because of these drones. They're very good drones. They're doing what they got to do. But out of that 1,500, there's a good 300,000 more to go. And Russia is not going to stop anytime soon. Putin has made that clear. So what is Ukraine actually going to do when they run out of stuff? When they're out of the bullets, when they're out of all the machines and all the bombs? What are they going to do? When all the drones don't work, what are they going to do? And if the U.S. ever says we can't give you any more money, oh God.
Like ammunition supplies.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden's fight for more Ukraine aid is still struggling to gain traction. President Biden continues to urge top lawmakers.
U.S. President Biden struggles for more Ukraine aid. Look at that. Look at that. It don't even look like the government wants to give up any more money because we simply can't afford it. We're putting ourselves in further debt because of this war, and it's not even involving us. Let's continue.
To approve a $60 billion aid request, but we are told the White House is very aware that time is running out for any new U.S. military funding before the 2024 presidential election. Pentagon officials have not held a single meeting since last month to decide what to send Ukraine because there is no money to fund the aid packages. CNN.
What did I just say? What did I just say? They don't have any money. If they do, they're gonna have to print it. They're running out of money. And they're running out of time. It's sad. Let's continue.
Natasha Bertrand joins us now with more from the Pentagon. And Natasha, only this week we heard that President Biden had met with House and Senate lawmakers to discuss this, really what was at stake here for Ukraine. Has that helped move the needle at all? What are you hearing?
It's really unclear at this point just what direction lawmakers are going to take this. It's totally unclear whether there's even going to be a way to avoid a government shutdown, let alone to fund Ukraine with $60 billion in military aid. But the president did emphasize to the lawmakers that visited the White House just a few days ago that without this money, the Ukrainians will probably run out soon of artillery ammunition as well as air defenses to really key capabilities that the Ukrainians need, of course, to fend off the Russians. So the question now is whether whether the lawmakers here are going to be swayed by this. It doesn't appear at this moment that there's a lot of momentum moving forward in that direction. But, the U.S. has emphasized repeatedly, in conversations with us officials have said that if they don't get this funding, then that really is going to be to the Russians' advantage, that the Ukrainians likely are not going to get money beyond this $60 billion, even if they do get it in that military funding more this year. In other words, before the election. And
if they don't get this money, Ukraine is done. I'll say it blunt. I'll say it big and bold. If the Ukrainians do not get this money, they are done. They're done. We can expect Russia to take over very swiftly. We can expect the U.S. troops that are there now to back away. If they don't get this money, and matter of fact, if they don't get this money, we might not see Biden win. I think they're actually probably waiting until the president's election until they review and see if they should send more money. It's because it's not the U.S.'s problem. It's never been the U.S.'s problem, but they chose to make it ours.
Donald Trump may be reelected, and he has said many times that he does not believe that the U.S. should be funding the war in Ukraine. And so there is a fear here that this is really the last chance that the administration has to get this military assistance and funding to the Ukrainians before the 2024 election and before next year, he said.
Tell me I'm calling it like it is. Just say it. You don't have to say it. I'm calling it like it is. If they don't get this money, they're done. If they don't get this money this year before election happens, they are done. Because Trump is not going to give them money for sure. For sure. Only Biden.
Natasha Bertrand there for us at the Pentagon. Thanks, Natasha. And it's not just Ukraine worried about funding. Europe, too, is warning that the threat posed by Vladimir Putin is serious. Germany's defense minister saying today that an attack on NATO country could be possible in the next 5 to 8 years, and that Germany can't go all in on aid to Ukraine because it has to think about itself. A top NATO admiral echoed that sentiment. Have a listen.
Hold on. Did they just say that NATO might have to war with Russia in the next 5 years? Do y'all know what that means? World War III is coming, y'all. Just get prepared. Just get prepared. They don't want to give money because they know that if they give money and if they give their military equipment, they're going to be fighting this war until they run out of stuff.
Not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with Russia and the terror groups, if it comes to it, if they attack us. We're not seeking any conflict. But if they attack us, we have to be ready.
And that is an absolute fact. That is an absolute fact. You cannot keep expecting to give away your military equipment and your dollars to one country that is fighting against Russia and not expect the Russians are well prepared and looking forward to the sneak attack on NATO.